one of our hosts walked up to Monster and just started a conversation. Hey, we want to interview you guys. And it started with an interview and it ended with, 7 years of partnerships.
That was Scott Ertz, and this is Podcast Ninja.
Podcast Ninja.
What's going on, ninjas? I'm your host, Anthony, and this is Podcast Ninja, a show that interviews the most successful podcasters in the game. And my goal is going to be simply to uncover the best podcasting strategies that you can apply to your show. In today's episode, we have Scott Ertz, who is the president of PLuGHiTz Corporation. He's a tech journalist, software engineer, entrepreneur, and host of many shows that we'll talk about. Now, if you want to learn how to monetize your podcast through partnerships with big companies and affiliates like Amazon Associates, Scott is going to talk about some key steps that you can take in order to have some long-term success in your space. Now let's get into the show. How'd you transition into the podcasting space then? Or were you already in podcasting while you were doing Radio Shack?
Actually, all of the original hosts of the show were Radio Shack people.
Oh my gosh. So that's so funny. So everyone you worked with was all the radio because you have a whole team, right? You have like a bunch of different shows. You host a couple. You have a team of other people. Talk about a little bit of the shows you have and what they're all about. Yeah.
Right now we have 7 active feeds. The primary one, the flagship show, is F5 Live, Refreshing Technology. That one I have been hosting for just over 10 years. I've been absent from a total of 3 out of all of the episodes that have been produced, and this past week was 479. So we've done a lot of shows, and I've only missed 3 of them. The format has changed a lot over the years. At one point, we had as many as 5 hosts. Today it's myself and Avram Pilch, who is the online editorial director for Laptop Magazine and Tom's Guide. So the two of us talk about kind of the news of the week, gadgets, gaming, internet, and media, and how it affects people. Like, you know what I mean? So, not just here's what happened, because we all know what happened, but why is the fact that Roku filed for an IPO, how does that affect you? Then we've got the Pilch Point, which is Avram Pilch discussing in depth a particular topic, like IFA Berlin or the Intel processor announcement, stuff for the solar eclipse, things that are important on either Laptop Mag and Tom's Guide. And he has been hosting that for, 6 or 6.5 years now, something like that.
Wow. We
have our special events, which is, we go to International CES, things like Anime Weekend Atlanta. So sometimes really big shows, sometimes smaller stuff. We did Collision, which is a startup show this year. All of that falls under our special events. We have a program called the New Product Launchpad, which I am almost entirely uninvolved in, except as a producer. That's hosted by Danielle and Marissa, and that's a spotlight on crowdfunding products that we think are really interesting, but we're afraid might be overlooked in the very crowded space of crowdfunding.
Dude, everyone's getting in that space right now, I feel like, no?
There's so much crowdfunding happening right now.
Yeah.
I can't go, every day I probably get between 15 and 30 crowdfund pitches, from PR reps every day.
Wow.
So
how do you filter through all that?
It's a very manual process. I read all of the emails individually. Myself, Danielle, Marissa, and our one of our executive producers, Michelle, we all read all of the pitches that we get every day and decide whether or not it sounds interesting. And if it sounds interesting, whether or not we think it's going to get lost in the shuffle.
Wow.
So it's a very manual process.
Yeah, man.
And we try to do slightly stranger things, like this product called Audio Noggin, which is a headphone specifically for bikers that is able to go inside of the bike helmet so that you can have music that doesn't disrupt the real world audio around you in a really great way. So we always look for that kind of stuff.
Dude, I love that. I've been listening to this podcast for the last couple months called Sleep With Me podcast. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't think so.
So like, it's like supposed to help you put you to sleep, but
Sure.
They he like did like an advertisement. I finally listened to it, and they are selling like these headphones that you could sleep with like comfortably. And I thought that was like the coolest thing, man. That would be perfect. Like same kind of like weird niche-y, like super beneficial for the customer kind of product, right?
Yeah. That's such a cool idea.
Right?
In a past life of mine, we sold little pillow speakers in a retail, but the actual headphones that you can sleep with is a really interesting idea.
Wait, so the pillow headphones, you could like it was built into the pillow?
No, it was a little flat speaker. It was probably less than a half an inch tall, and it would slip into your pillow, and then you could adjust the volume but only you would hear it. Like it wouldn't really leave the pillow because the pillow itself would muffle the sound so that it wouldn't leave. Oh, we sold a lot of those, especially like in retirement homes. Not saying that that's the only target market, but boy, was that our target market. So
I know you've checked out like a lot of cool products, a lot of cool techie things. I saw I was looking at the USB, light bulb kind of thing. What's like the coolest thing you think you checked out recently or just of all time?
Wow. What a great question. That's difficult because we see a lot of interesting things. I have to say that the most unique product that I've seen in a while is a hydroponic growth cabinet for your kitchen, a product called Natufia. The whole idea was that you should be able to grow your own ingredients in your kitchen without having to, deal with stuff outside and all that. It's all self-contained. It's the height of a standard kitchen refrigerator. It waters itself. It actually checks its own pH balance every time it waters the plants and adjusts the water for the next run to perfect the pH balance in the soil.
That's cool. That's intense. That
was such a cool product. But from a more, reasonable standpoint, like just a person looking for a cool product, right? It actually was the same day at CES. There was a product called Proof, which is a wearable that looks like a regular smartwatch, but it actually monitors your blood alcohol content and will let you know if it's a bad idea to go driving based on where you are.
Interesting. And is that all it did?
Yes.
That's okay. I don't know. I'd be nervous to tell someone that's all the like if it had like other features, you'd be like, oh, it has so many things. But if that's all it did, I'd be a little embarrassed to share, It was actually, you mean like if somebody asked you, hey, what are you wearing? Yeah. And I was like, oh, this does this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, does it do anything else? And you'd be like, no.
Oh, it's a Fitbit. Just tell them it's a Fitbit. It looks just like one.
So you have to.
That was the point. Is that it's very like health tracker looking with the intent of nobody knowing what you're wearing. It was a really clever idea. They had a pretty good crowdfunding campaign. To get back to the conversation about Launchpad, they had a pretty good crowdfunding campaign.
How long has your show been up altogether? I guess the F5 Live, right? That's your oldest show.
Yeah. The flagship show is definitely the oldest. Our first episode of that was the weekend before Father's Day, right? Yeah, the weekend before Father's Day in 2007. So 6/3, June 3rd was our first episode. So a little over a decade.
Wow. Jeez, that's a long. You don't have any more milestone celebrations anymore, I guess, at this point.
It's funny. I'm a member of a number of podcast communities. It's always fun to watch people get that are newer into the space get real excited. It's our 1-year anniversary. What should we do? And I'm like, oh God, anniversaries. I don't even think about those anymore. But I remember that 1 year mark when it was our thing, and we used to do huge events, throwbacks, here are some of our favorite things from the year and all that. And, there's a certain point where you're just like, all right, that's enough of that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like in relationships or birthdays. After a while, you're just like, dude, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you got a lot of cool partnerships.
Yeah.
That we kind of talked about. I guess I'm curious on when did you start seeing partnerships? Like, did you have partnerships from when you first started, or did it take some time, or how did you have that introduction get in?
So early on, no, we had no partnerships. We looked for ways to try and monetize the show over a couple of periods. One of the ways that when we were really early that we learned from, Todd Cochrane, actually, from doing CES was you can actually use affiliate things as, pseudo sponsorships and, kind of really make a big deal about it. And so we did that early on, and that helped a little bit pay for some events. And the events are where we found our partnerships. For us, it's been almost entirely about CES. Obviously being a tech show, it's different. If you're a health, well, even health CES might work, but there's a lot of environments where it just wouldn't be the right place. But every industry has a trade show like CES. So for us, we went to CES. We met one of the reps from Monster. We got invited to a party, and Monster has been a huge partner of ours now for 7 years, I think. They are definitely our biggest partner.
So I guess was it more of a networking kind of thing, or like, cause I know a lot of people just spam out emails like, hey, do you want to work with us? Or it seems like you're like in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's all about talking to people. And yes, a lot of people send out emails, and in my experience, that doesn't quite get the job done, at least not in the same way. Walking up to somebody and getting to talk to them and see if the personalities match. I mean, in our case, Gina, who worked for Monster at the time, obviously companies shift people, but talking to Gina and then Sarah after that at Monster Products and really getting to know them and build a personal relationship, they approached us about a partnership. In 2006, 2005, 2006, I think it was 2006, we were Monster Products press partner for CES. So, yeah, and that was all because one of our hosts walked up to Monster in, 2009, 2010, something like that, and just started a conversation. Hey, we want to interview you guys. And it started with an interview, and it ended with, 7 years of partnerships.
That's crazy, man. That's great. It sounds you're like trying to recollect, like, I don't know, it was like 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, and then now you got Microsoft, you got Monster, you got Razer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Microsoft has been another good partner of ours. In fact, without Microsoft, we wouldn't have most of our studio today. So much. I mean, sitting where I am, I'm looking at 5 computers running in the studio to be able for us to produce a regular show, and almost all of them are care of Microsoft.
I think actually my next question is more along the lines of, I don't know how much you could actually speak about it, but how does the process work? I don't know, like what I'm thinking is like affiliate is, you have a link, like I see you have like a banner on the top of your website, and if someone buys something through that link, then you get a percentage, but that's not exactly how it works with your partnership, right?
It all depends on the partnership. Like, our partnership with Monster is a very special one. They help us get to events and things like that. So, like, they might help out with CES. I mean, even the headphones I'm wearing while I'm talking to you right now are from Monster. Like, Monster helps us out in a huge way. Obviously, Microsoft has done similar things, but then sometimes it's really similar to a traditional affiliate program, like the Groove Music partnership that we have is essentially a commission-based thing, but it's not the same commission-based thing that most people just sign up with. So it's a special program.
Okay.
But yeah, it all depends. We've had some that are entirely commission-based. We've had some that are like entirely partner based. We did one with CES a couple of years ago that was an IP camera, and they were entirely based on viewership. So number of views on the video. So it was a CPM, but not on clicks. Instead, it was on views, which is pretty traditional in the podcasting space.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know, because, you could still have, let's say, a couple thousand views on your show per episode, but, not everyone clicks it, or, sometimes there's no, like, I guess they track it, right? They check the progress, and okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, who wouldn't, I guess, right?
Right.
We'll just trust you.
Absolutely. And having accurate stats is obviously, when you're getting into the view-based stuff, having accurate stats is essential. Something like the Blubrry stats or something like that. Being able to have a third party and go, see here, this comes from not us, and these are our numbers. It is huge, because then there's no conversation about, well, how do I know these numbers are right? Well, because they're not mine.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people talk about how good Blubrry stats are.
Oh yeah.
I get you host all your stats with Blubrry, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all your shows. I mean to ask.
Yeah, our hosting is actually done through Microsoft Azure. Again, one of the many perks of having Microsoft as a partner. So yeah, we host all of the media at Azure, but all of our stats run through Blubrry. Technically through the Tech Podcast network, the TPN stats, but it's all raw voice. It's all the same statistics.
Right. And I guess you have different podcast shows, right? So I assume like you have other shows that, I know we talk about tech, but like you specifically review product, at these shows, right? I've seen your review section is pretty intense, man. You have ratings, you have, oh man, I don't remember what it was, but it was like visual, description, right? It like really broke it down.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people listening, even me, if sometimes I do a show, I just say, hey, if you want to see what mic I have, and like no one clicks that, because I'm just a regular guy, but you're putting a lot of emphasis on specific products, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a lot of product reviews. You actually mentioned a little while ago, one of our most recent one, the Power Bulb, which is actually somebody, again, that we met at CES this year, who gave us some product to review. The reviews section is a system that I built. In fact, the whole website, the whole PLuGHiTzLive.com is custom software. It's not built on something existing, because when we started, the industry was still very new. So there weren't like pre-made products yet. So, but the reviews thing is based on the idea of metrics, and every product category has metrics, right? Things that you care about. Value, design, convenience, build quality, functionality, size and weight, things like that. And so we do every metric on a 0 to 5 score with, half. So 0, half, 1, 1.5. And then, it produces a final based on the average, and then color codes the score, with a traffic light, green, yellow, red, based on where it falls, with yellow being average, green being great, and then red being skip it.
Mm-hmm. So you said your biggest contributor is Microsoft?
Our biggest partner, is Monster. They have been very good to us for a very long time.
And I love Monster, man. I remember we kind of quickly talked about like retail right as we started here. And, I used to have the best partnerships with Monster. They used to come and throw pizza parties, if they, some balloons for like new phone launches and stuff like that, man.
Yep.
And they have great product, man, for sure. So that makes sense. What do people, like, I guess say if someone's listening is like, well, I'm just starting out, man, obviously you're well established. What should people expect as far as partnerships? Like because I think a lot of times people don't know how to negotiate, or maybe they'll just take any offer that comes along. If someone's just starting out, right, and they have a show that's getting some recognition, what should they expect as far as partnership ad or starting with a company like this?
Yeah, it's going to vary, and there's a couple of things in there. The first is, don't take just any offer that comes around. Just like in any industry, you do it so you think it's easier than it is. And especially in tech related things, I took a Sandler sales training class a couple of years ago, and one of the things that Clint said was that tech people in tech related fields are the most undervaluated, because we think things are easy. And they're not. If they were, everybody would be doing it, and they don't. You have value. Don't just take any offer that comes around, because it ends up decreasing your future value. Wait for the right ones, and really look for people who are directly in your niche. Because if you're a very specialized, podcast, right? Like, for example, our new product Launchpad, right? Or actually, we use our First Looks, program, which is about, school-age robotics programs. Obviously, like, Monster wouldn't be necessarily an appropriate sponsor for that, because the niche isn't right, so your per view payout is going to be lower. But if you find a good partner, somebody who's trying to live in that space, in our case, Microsoft, but, Lego could be somebody, and because they are specifically trying to reach your audience, you can actually charge more per view or per listen because of how targeted your demographic is. But you'd never be able to do that with somebody like RiffTrax, who is, a comedy site. The market is just totally wrong there. So go looking for a partner that fits your niche really closely, or team up with somebody who is good at finding those for you. Blubrry, again, is another good example. I just got an email from them this week. They've got 4 more big sponsorships that are highly specialized. One is looking specifically for libertarian podcasts. Like, find things that are so in your niche that even if you've got a lower view, like, not everybody does our numbers, but, even if you're doing 100 downloads a week, an episode, okay, if those 100 downloads are exactly your partner's niche, they're going to pay more per view.
I guess it's a patience game, right? Because people get excited. They, and I want to talk about a little bit about Amazon affiliates, because I think that's the long game. Everything we just talked about over the last couple minutes is the long game, but people just starting in the space, they get excited, right? You can only tell them so much. Hey, wait till you get 2,000 downloads, then start the monetization. But, also like an easy way for them to start is the Amazon affiliate, right?
Yeah.
Audible's another one, but you don't use Audible, right? I know a lot of people, use that.
Yeah, we personally don't, only because it's so saturated. They have offered a campaign to us, but it's such a saturated market that we decided to go a different way with them. We actually take advantage of Amazon. Like, the place that is most successful for us with Amazon is, well, I guess there's 2. One, our reviews section. Almost all of our reviews have a buy button on them, and so many of them take you to Amazon to buy the product, because it's usually the cheapest place to get it, and there's a commission on it. It works out in everybody's favor. We've done the work for you. But the other place that we use it is for some of our special events, like CES. If we interview somebody that has a product already on the market, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. CES is an announcement show, so it's not necessarily out on the market yet. But what we'll do is we'll go find it on Amazon, and we'll link it in the show notes for the show for each interview episode, so that here's an easy way for you to go see the product, to go buy the product. Plus, again, there's commission involved, and it takes 0 time. With the associate stripe at the top of Amazon, once you find a thing, you just click on the word text and hit copy, and you're done. So Amazon's really made it easy and effective.
Yeah, I think that's a good start. Yeah, I see you have because I think it's really cool that you have like the buy it, so it's like a super in your face. Here's all this value we provided to help you determine if you want to buy the product or if you like it. Here's the call to action. And then there's some kind of targeted ads. Like, I was looking at the CL1 cloud lifter the other day for my Shure SM58 mic, and I was on your site and I saw it. I was like, oh, I kind of want it, but not ready yet. I was like, they're getting me, but I'm sure there's ups and downs, right? You have some high area, high seasons, low seasons with that, because some people, and like my show, I've had, other people have reached out to me and they're like, oh, I haven't been able to crack $100 a month, not get enough clicks. but I'm sure you have ups and downs, right, too?
Absolutely. Especially with the cyclical but non-standard release schedule for some of our shows, like special events, right? You've got CES in January that produces 100 interviews, and then what do you have? Kind of nothing until May. So, there's this really huge concentration of like 35 days in the middle of January and the beginning of February where content comes out really hard. And then in March, the special events feed has nothing new to it. So absolutely, we see these big, peaks and valleys both in our numbers and in our revenue generation. But that's the nature of doing a show like our special events feed, where content doesn't come out every Tuesday. It comes out when CES or Collision happen.
Yeah. But I think your market understands that, right? Because if they're in the same field, I'm like flicking through the site right now. You got Collision, CES, first robotic competition. Okay. So is this all in southeastern US or no?
The Consumer Electronics, CES, we're not supposed to call it the Consumer Electronics Show anymore. CES happens in Las Vegas.
Okay.
E3 happens in LA. Collision happened in New Orleans this year. IBM Innovate happened in, Las Vegas, IBM Insight happened in Las Vegas. So, they're spread out. Stuff like Roboticon is Tampa, both of our maker events, Pinellas Comic Con and then Gulf Coast Maker Con, both happen in the Tampa area. Some of the HP events have happened in Orlando, Miami. So a lot of them happen in the area, but yeah, the big ones definitely happen outside of our direct realm.
So you basically travel, right, to all these shows?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. But I could see, like, it must be, I guess, what do you do when you have downtime? Like, if you have these, like, couple months where you got nothing, maybe it's during the winter is, like, the super low season for you, or?
Interestingly, winter is when we are gearing up for CES. CES actually takes us almost 100 days to prepare for, and once we get inside of that 100 days, we all start to panic because it takes so much work to be prepared for that. The Tech Podcast Network has a live stream booth that we have to fill time for, plus we go out and do floor interviews, so we try to be prepared for all of that. So winter is, October, November, December are kind of crazy for us, but, we end up with other events that take our non-special events time, like, in a couple of weeks, this coming weekend, we're doing a robot in one weekend build, with First Robotics here in Tampa, where the game for the first Tech Challenge will be announced Saturday, like at noon, and then we're going to take Saturday, Sunday, and part of Monday to build a robot to play the game. So, we've always got something going on. And then in the beginning of October, we've got Roboticon. The end of this month, we've got Anime Week in Atlanta. So we do other smaller shows as well, but shows like Collision and CES are definitely our big ones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I didn't mean to minimize the whole situation. You clearly are, and we were just talking about before too. You're up last night till like 4 a.m. or something, right? Was it like 4 a.m.? You're up at 4 hours later. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. It's not unusual. Sunday nights, are F5 live. So all night Sunday night, I'm editing and publishing so that people's podcatchers have the audio and or video ready for their drive to work in the morning.
That's cool, man. I want to quickly touch on the I guess the CES, because it's a bit more of a live kind of pass the mic back and forth kind of interview style, right? CES is a little bit of kind of everything that we do, all mashed up into a single week in a really fun way. We do an actual live broadcast where we have a studio. This year it's going to be in the Venetian, I think, maybe the Sands, where we'll have a live studio and a couple of our hosts, either from our team or Geek News Central or some of the other bigger Tech Podcast Network shows, will do a live broadcast all day, every day of the show. We'll have a different interview every 15 minutes. And then the people who are not part of the live broadcast are out on the floor doing floor interviews. Okay. What kind of mic setup do you use for that, for the floor interviews?
For the floor interviews, We have we've got a couple of mics. We've got one Sennheiser that we've had for years. And then we've got a couple of, I'll call them white labeled Shure microphones from my past retail days. But they're traditional Shure, cardioid microphones. We're in the process of working to replace those right now, though.
And what are you hooking up to? What audio? I'm assuming you have it plugged into like I don't know, what do you have, a Zoom or something like that? What are you plugging into?
Actually, we have special boxes that are designed for portable cameras that take XLRs and put them direct into our cameras so that we don't have to try and merge the audio and the video together later. We can do it all on the floor and all without having all the impedance problems of just like an XLR to 1/8-inch adapter. Because, a lot of those things, you end up with the audio being put in the back channels, which is completely worthless. These boxes are designed specifically for what we're doing. They're wonderful. They are not inexpensive, but they've been worth every penny.
So I've seen you use the Audio-Technica, the BPHS1. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Dude, I've seen you use that so much, and I asked you before about it, and I'm debating on it soon, but not a lot of people talk about that whole headset. Is that like your favorite like headset kind of style microphone, or?
Yes.
Yes.
I have used a lot of headphones over the years. I've done actual television broadcast in my past and things like that. I've used a lot of headphones, and I've never had one that I've been as happy with as the Audio-Technicas. I keep trying to convince Monster to come out with a product like this, and so far they haven't done it, but that's okay. For right now, the Audio-Technicas for sure are my favorites. It's always interesting to see them now at $200 because we paid more than that, but a lot more than that a long time ago. But they have been worth every penny. We used them for the first time actually at CES as part of the live broadcast, and Todd Cochrane brought 5 of them to CES, and we absolutely fell in love with them. And when we got back from CES, we bought 4 ourselves. Dude,
I love that. I love them because, my thought process is, when you're doing live interviews, sometimes it's awkward to, you don't want to sit there and coach the person on how to hold a mic if they never did it, or this is like guaranteed to like put it on your head and just start talking, right? It's like pretty click and play. I love that.
Yeah, give or take. We always have a production assistant for our live shows who is there specifically to help the person get the headset on right and aim the microphone at themselves. Because obviously different types of microphones work differently. The one that I'm talking to you on right this second, a normal person who's never used a professional broadcast mic would talk into it wrong. And I see people talk into this microphone all the time wrong because you talk into the side, not the top. So, people get confused and get a little panicky sometimes when they touch a microphone. So we always have, no matter where we are, we always have a PA to help somebody put the headset on right.
What mic are you using right now?
Right now it's a Behringer C1. We've been using these mics for probably 6 or 7 years now. We're also working to replace these. We've got a partnership that I can't announce yet that is working on replacing some of our microphones.
Okay, cool.
But that Audio-Technica is not going away. That's not part of the deal.
Dude, I'm just so in love with it, man. I've asked my friend Banjo, he does like tons of mic reviews, and I'm like, dude, please like do a legit review on it because I'm debating on it so hard. I just not yet. I'm thinking in like 2 months, 3 months, I'll make that investment when I'm ready. But
I've done well over 100 hours of broadcast with those headphones on, and dude, I love them.
Do a review. I don't know.
I'm just saying. We've been talking about doing reviews of some of the just general product that we have around. We also want to put together a studio list. This is what it takes to put on our show. We just haven't put that together yet because we've been really busy gearing up for this robotics event in October.
Yeah, that's a cool idea because, you don't have to, because getting into the whole like mic and interface space might be too much. But if people want, like, I want to know exactly what you have. That's why I'm like, dude, what model is that? Like, I want to know the exact number, because because we want to know what you do and what you like. It handles well. You speak into it well. You know, people want to produce that. So
yeah,
I think that's cool. And I'm sure people are always asking, you know, what you guys are doing and, you know, constantly want to get some tips and tricks from you because over the past, we'll call it decade, you've seen some good success. I guess you want to call it success with, you know, PLuGHiTz as if you want to call it, you know, as a corporation.
Yeah.
And you've sort of not only survived a lot of other shows that kind of came and went, but thrived. And I guess I'm curious, why do you think you stuck out over time? How do you think you made it?
It's an interesting question. And, I know basically this question was posed in a group that you and I are in, the other night. And I've been thinking on this since it was originally posed. And I have to say the thing that we did that is different from a lot of the shows that I see is that we went into it from day one like we were Todd Cochrane. Not like we were getting 8 downloads an episode, but like we were doing 200,000 downloads a week. And we talked to people with the confidence of somebody like, you know, a Todd Cochrane or an Adam Carolla. You know, like, we know what we're doing. We may not have the downloads yet, but, you know, confidence. And, you know, that confidence is part of what got us the Monster deal, part of what got us the Microsoft deal. It's the reason why we're one of the featured players with the Tech Podcast Network. Things like that is because we went into it just as if we were already there. We were never shy, never like, I don't think I deserve to talk to these people. You know, we walked into CES and kicked down the door like we own the place. You know what I mean? Just the confidence of walking in and not showing, because in our heads, obviously, you know, we were never crazy or delusional. We always knew that early on that we had very few views, and there was always the panic in the back of our heads that we didn't deserve to be having this conversation with, you know, Major Nelson from Xbox Live or, you know, whoever it was. We were always like in our heads, oh my God, I don't deserve to be talking to this person. But outwardly, we're like, hey, we should talk. And that confidence, I think, is the reason why, you know, some of the relationships that we have were built. And because of some of those relationships, the reason that we've been able to survive a little over a decade now when, you know, most shows, you know, pod fade after, well, I think the last stat I heard was they tend to peter out after between 8 and 10 episodes. But, obviously that's an average, you know, and we've gone 10 years because we just had the confidence that we were going to get there. And so we'll act like we're already there.
Dude, and I think also that you're a techie kind of guy, right? You're like a developer at nature and you're into, you know, technology and cool stuff. So we probably could have had a whole episode just geeking out for a little bit, but I'm right. But I was like, oh my gosh, I got to steer it towards, you know, something else too. But
sure.
I think your passion clearly shows, you know, so yeah, man, keep doing it, man. At this point, that's it, man. Just want to say thanks for coming on the show. And I hit you up the other day, last minute. So like last minute show, man, saved me. Thank you for being the guest this week.
I
appreciate it.
I'm happy to be able to do it. I like to talk. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do. I think we just published episode 1700 to our site. So obviously, I like to talk. So getting to talk about, you know, things that I'm passionate about, like the show, is always a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the 8th episode of Podcast Ninja. If you want to check out any of Scott's podcasts, or we talked about so much gear during the show, if you want to look at that, just go ahead and go to podcastninja.net/8. And thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Podcast Ninja.